Buy to let, thatched, commercial. We're your high street insurance brokers for all types of insurance. Avoid faceless internet firms.
High House Insurance, do it face to face.
See Neil and the friendly team at High Street Selsey.
High House Insurance, do it face to face.
Or call Selsey 606 552.
Hello, this is Tony Weiner and a warm welcome to Selsey Internet Radio. We start this week with an interview given by myself with Anne Humphrey, who tells us all about the Selsey Walking and Outdoor Festival. Then Hugh interviews Chris Arnold, who's going to turn Selsey red. Lynn is going to tell us how to make cheese straws. Nick interviews Claire Towers, and we finish the programme with Thought for the Day with our very own James Wetton. But before all that, it's over to Mary Kennedy, who's going to tell us what's on.
Hello, this is Mary Kennedy. On Saturday the 3rd of May, Crablands Bowling Club have an open day, 10 o'clock for green bowls and 12:15 for short mat. Little Spain Bowling Club also have an open day in Golf Links Lane at 2 o'clock. Also on Saturday the 3rd of May, St Wilfrid's Church have a good as new sale, 11 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the Church Hall in Church Road. Lots of bargains to be had. On the 4th of May, Selsey Lifeboat sponsored walk, about 10 miles, a registration from the inshore boathouse between 8 and 10 in the morning. Further information on that from Sean Elphick on 07866 419 679. On Bank Holiday Monday the 5th of May, Selsey and District Carers Support Group have a car boot sale at the Academy. On the 6th of May, Selsey Writers' Circle meet at the Selsey Club in Cox's Road at 2:30. The Crafty Natter Club's first session next month is on the 7th of May, 2 till 4, at Selsey Methodist Church. Further information from Lisa on 601032. And May the 4th to the 11th sees the first Selsey Walking and Outdoor Festival. Leaflets are available from the Town Hall and various other places throughout the town. There is a wide selection of walks and advanced booking is essential. By phone on 605803, online at www.selseywalkingfestival.wordpress.com or call into Selsey Works at 53 High Street.
Thanks, Mary. And now, my interview with Anne Humphrey about the Selsey Outdoor Festival. Hello, this is Tony Weiner for Selsey Internet Radio, and I'm here with Anne Humphrey, who is one of the organisers of the Selsey Walking and Outdoor Festival, which runs from May the 4th to the 11th. So, Anne, what events have we organised?
Well, the Walking and Outdoor Festival starts with the Lifeboat sponsored walk on Sunday the 4th of May and continues with lots of other walks during the week until it finishes on Sunday the 11th of May. We also have a bike ride and snorkelling as well. There's various different walks, short walks, long walks, so there's something for everybody.
So that you don't have to be super fit then to be
No,
to
I mean,
participate.
one of the first walks on Monday the 5th of May is a walk round the railway carriages in Selsey. It's only 3 miles, but it should be a really interesting walk, learning the history of the railway carriages and how they actually arrived in Selsey. We've also got a walk round Pagham Harbour and Church Norton, which is 3.5 miles, and a walk round East Beach, which is only 3 miles. If you want to do longer walks, we have Pagham Village to Selsey, which is 11 miles, and we also have a tramway walk, which should be a really interesting walk, and that's 11 miles. We're going both ways on that, so you can either walk from Selsey to Chichester or from Chichester to Selsey.
So you don't have to be super fit then, so there's a whole variety of short walks, medium walks and long walks, depending how you are. And also I understand that the railway carriages is being led by one of the experts in the area that's actually doing the research and found something like 30 or 35 carriages.
There's over 30
Incredible.
railway carriages, so that should be a really interesting walk. We also have another walk, which is on Saturday the 10th of May, the Dawn Chorus. So if you like getting up early, you meet at 4:30 a.m. Church Norton, and that should be an interesting walk to hear the bird song. And there's a walk through Norton Priory Wood, which is not normally open to the public. And also remember that all these walks most of them are just £2, so it's not costing a lot of money.
Okay, and also the thing that fascinated me reading some of the details in the pamphlet that are available around the village is that we're going to learn something about the history of Selsey as well. Selsey has something like a third of all the blue plaques in West Sussex, so there's quite a lot of history. Not only just the tramways and the railway carriages, but also some very famous people that have lived and worked in the town.
There's actually 3 walks that go around the Selsey Heritage Blue Plaque Trail. So we cover all of the blue plaques that are in Selsey, and it is an interesting walk. There's also a leaflet that goes with it you could buy for 50p, which tells you the history of everything that's happened in Selsey, and it is a really interesting history. We actually have, there's normally about 3 walks per day, so there's plenty to choose from.
Okay, well, I think it's an amazing and interesting initiative. I think it will really show some of the great things in and around Selsey, the wildlife, the sea life, and so on.
Well, the thing with Selsey is that we are surrounded by the beach and by 2 nature reserves. One of the walks does go through Medmary, which is the new nature reserve and has only recently opened. So that should be a really interesting walk. One goes through Pagham, and then several are along the beach, so there's plenty to see and do.
So I think one of the fascinating things is that you actually have a snorkelling event as part of the week. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we do. On Friday the 9th of May, there's going to be a snorkelling event organised by Mulberry Divers. And if you want to contact them on 01243 601 000, they can give you all the information. You do have to have some experience, but obviously they can do training for the snorkelling. And it's start at East Beach, round the lifeboat station to Selsey Bill, and then you return on the beach. So, I mean, that will be a lovely event to join in, and it is only £2 per person. We also have a cycling event, which is organised by Summit Bikes. Now that's on Sunday the 11th of May, and you're going to be following Route 88, which is the Bill Way bike ride from Pagham Harbour. And you can hire bikes and hats from Summit Bikes, and they're doing a reduced rate of £9 per day for the walking festival. So if you give them a ring on 697 547, they can organise that for you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. So how do we find out about this event?
Well, you can either, we have got leaflets around the village, but if you want to ring 01243 605 803, you can get all the information on the walks and how to book it. Also go online at the Selsey Walking Festival, or call into Selsey Works, and they have the information in there as well.
And that's the building next door to the council offices,
it is next door to the council
on the high
office,
street.
yes,
that's right. And I think also the Selsey Information Exchange and various shops and pubs also have the information. Okay, thank you very much then. That sounds absolutely fascinating to me. So just a reminder when it is. I think you said it was May the 4th to the 11th.
Yeah, May the 4th to the 11th.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We will look forward to it then. Bye now.
Bye.
Thanks, Anne. And now it's over to Hugh talking to Chris Arnold about turning Selsey red.
Well, it's Hugh Graham for Selsey Internet Radio, and I'm talking with Chris Arnold, and we're talking about turning Selsey red. All right, what's the secret then, Chris?
That's it, Hugh. It's about turning Selsey red. This time last year, I had an idea that I wanted to commemorate my granddad, who fought in the First World War. And you know, Hugh, he was shot. He was 17 years old. He found himself in the trenches of the Somme.
Yeah.
He was shot and he was gassed, but he was actually one of the lucky ones. He survived.
Really?
17 years old.
Okay.
I love my granddad, and I wanted to do something to commemorate the start of the First World War. So I thought, well, I live near the beach. I'd plant some poppy seeds there so that I could see them every day.
What, in the grass verge?
Yeah, grass verge. So I bought some seeds, and I asked friends, family, neighbours, all for their poppy seeds. They all started sending me poppy seeds through the post. Throughout the summer I collected some and planted odd ones. Earlier this year, back in March, I thought now's the time to plant them. So I went up onto the beach, on that grass verge on East Beach, planted all my poppy seeds, and I was so proud of myself. So proud. Well, you won't believe it, Hugh. 2 nights later at midnight, I was down on the beach watching the tide come over the sea wall and wash away all my hard work.
Oh, dear.
So I thought, well, I was really upset, and I thought, I'm going to write to the council and suggest the council do it. I couldn't believe it. The council picked up on my idea.
Was that Selsey Council?
Selsey Town Council.
Yeah.
Straight away, Ben Cooper was back onto me, and he's saying, I love it. Let's do it.
Right.
Anyway.
So is the Selsey Town Council buying the poppy seeds?
Yes, Selsey Town Council donated £500 towards buying poppy seeds.
Really? Okay.
And we got the poppy seeds.
Right.
And fortunately, as luck would have it, they sourced the poppy seeds from an ex-serviceman who loved the idea of turning Selsey red with poppies, and he donated another £2,200 worth of poppy seeds.
Okay. Now, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
It's probably a lot of poppy. How many poppies are we talking about?
Well, it's actually about 40 million.
40 million poppies.
40 million poppies
grief.
to be planted around Selsey.
Right. So now, if you're a resident in Selsey,
Yep.
and you would like to join in with planting your own poppy seeds, where do you get them from? How do you get them? And does it cost anything?
Okay. Well, if you want to remember your grandfather or maybe
Well, I certainly want to
father,
remember my grandfather because he was killed at Passchendaele.
Passchendaele.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if you want to commemorate your families and remember all of our servicemen, really, you can get your poppy seeds from the town hall,
Right.
Selsey Information Exchange in Penny Lane,
Right.
or in Selsey Works.
Okay, so there's 3 places.
Yeah. Now you can, if you go in there, we're asking for a small donation,
Right.
minimum of £1,
Okay.
and we'll give you a packet of poppy seeds for you to plant.
So how many poppy seeds are there in the packet?
I knew you were going to say that, Hugh.
Is it a sachet?
Yes, it's a little sachet. There's 14,000 poppy seeds in your
14,000?
sachet.
So it's truth. So you get, well, it would cover the garden, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know. I guess they won't all come up. I don't really know.
Well, if they all come out, we've got 40 million poppies.
Oh my goodness. And Selsey really would be red, wouldn't
Then
it?
of course they sell seed themselves, don't they?
They do. So later on in the year, I'm going to be asking people to actually harvest their poppies, harvest the seeds from the poppies that have grown this year, ready for next year. The idea is that at the end of the 4 years, in 4 years' time, Hugh, Selsey will be red, and we will really be remembering all of our servicemen and women that have fought for us in all wars, not just the First World War.
Right. This is going to run on over 4 years.
Over
So
4 years.
Explain what's going to happen on year 2, 3 and 4.
Hopefully, Hugh, we'll just keep doing it. We'll just keep planting, harvesting and planting. My idea is that basically all the sort of wasteland around, wouldn't that be nice to see that turning red? Not just with weeds, but let's have some poppies.
Yep.
People putting poppies in their garden, all showing their support for our servicemen and women. That's my idea.
So you could actually, instead of having one of these plastic ones, you could pick a poppy from your own garden and wear it in your lapel, couldn't you?
You could. But wouldn't it be lovely to just see beautiful, stunning
So
displays
you're going to
of
have
poppies?
people sneaking out in the night and planting poppy seeds all over the place, aren't you?
Well, I'm hoping that there will be a few guerrilla gardeners amongst us that will actually feel like they would like to do, sort of take some poppies and plant them in perhaps along the side of the road or round some lampposts.
All you have to do is to go down with £1, go into the Selsey Information Exchange, the Town Hall, or where? What was the other one?
Selsey Works.
Selsey Works. And they'll give you a sachet of 14,000 poppy seeds.
That's right.
And then all you have to do... Is there any special way to plant these?
Do you know, I think that they're pretty good actually, and they will, as long as you just plant them under a little bit of soil, bit of water, I think that they'll just grow.
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping anyway, Hugh.
Chris, so when are you planting your first poppy seeds?
I've already planted them.
Okay.
I've already been back to the beach and planted again.
If we plant poppy seeds now,
Yes,
when will we actually have red poppies?
we will later on in the year. You can plant your poppy seeds throughout May.
Yeah.
After May, they'd probably be okay, to be fair, but after May, perhaps September onwards then.
Yeah, okay. If you plant them in May, when are you going to have poppies?
I think by the end of the summer we'll have poppies.
Really?
Yes. So
Wonderful.
It's time to start.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot then, Chris.
Thank you, Hugh. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Hugh. And now over to Hugh again, who's talking to Lynn about how to make cheese straws.
Well, I'm talking to Lynn from Tuppenny Rice.
Good morning.
And She's going to tell me how to make cheese straws.
Well, that's a bit of a cheek really, isn't it? Because I happen to know that the recipe from your mum for cheese straws is probably one of the best.
Okay,
So
fine.
we're using Hugh's recipe, and on the top of it, it actually says cheese straws for Hugh from mum. And I think that's lovely. I really do. So here's Hugh's mum's recipe for cheese straws. You're going to start with 6 ounces of grated mature cheddar and red Leicester cheeses, 4 ounces of butter, some salt and pepper, some cayenne pepper, and a teaspoon of Coleman's mustard powder.
Yep.
That's a bit different, isn't it? That must give it a bit of a zing. 2 egg yolks and 6 ounces of plain flour. And this is what you do with it. Mix the flour, the seasoning, so that's the salt and pepper, the cayenne pepper and the mustard, and the cheese together. I don't think you need any particular flour here. Hugh's mum used Tesco's own.
That's right, true. Yes,
Okay, but as for the butter, whilst any will do, she liked to remember that this is a recipe from the 50s, so Hugh's mum preferred to use a block of butter, Anchor, or something like that.
Yep.
And she was quite sure that it made a bit of a difference to the cheese straws. Cut the butter into small lumps, as this makes the next bit easier. And with the cheese, use equal amounts of a coloured cheese for the colour and a strong cheese. So you've got a mature cheddar and a red Leicester. That's a lovely mix for cheese. Cheese is one of my favourite foods. Don't, as you can tell, don't forget the salt, pepper, cayenne pepper and mustard powder.
Yep.
Next, rub in the butter till fine, until you've got a nice fine little thing going on there. Forget all your kitchen gadgets, she says, and never mind all your everything else, your mixers. You just dig your hands in and make a nice fine breadcrumby thing. And make sure you've washed your hands first, please. Somebody once said to me, there's nothing like making pastry for getting your hands clean. That's disgusting. Make sure you've washed your hands. And if you scoop down with both hands and gently rub the butter between your fingertips and thumbs, it will soon look like nice breadcrumbs and you're done.
It does.
Mix in beaten egg yolk until it's stiff. I'm sure that everybody knows how to separate an egg yolk. If not, we'll talk about it another time. But beat the egg yolk and gradually add it to your mixture. And simple. The white bit left over is great for making meringues, by the way.
Yep.
Or a lemon meringue pie. After mixing the mixture, give it a quick knead so it looks like pastry. So you're going to roll it out thinly to about 1/4 inch. And if you want traditional cheese straws, cut it into strips about 1/2 inch wide. But the size is really up to you. You can make some enormous ones. I see some bakers with great big cheese straws. And depending on what and who I'm making them for, she says, she'll do straws sometimes with different shapes, with cookie cutters or round pastry cutters.
Yep.
So you could actually do them gingerbread shaped if you wanted to get the cheese into the little ones. Lay them out on a greased baking sheet. Pop them in the oven until golden brown at gas mark 5, 380 Fahrenheit or 193 centigrade. And when they're done, leave them to cool and just enjoy them.
Yeah.
Hugh's mum actually says on there, she says, do not eat them all at once. So I'm sure that was an instruction just for you.
It's the whole family, because as soon as they smell the cheese straws cooking, they gather like vultures. And if you're not careful, they're all gone before they're cooled.
Yeah.
So I tend to make my cheese straws when my family's out of the house and they've got a chance to cool properly before the blighters come back.
So that you can eat them all at once before they get in, that's what it is.
Well, that's part of it, yes. Otherwise, I don't get what I consider to be my fair share.
Oh dear.
Okay.
I bet they come in and say,
anyway,
those cheese
I'll tell you
straws?
what, you make some and I'll make some and we'll see how we get on.
Okay, I'll use your mum's recipe though.
All right. Okay.
Thanks, Hugh.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Lynn. And now over to Nick talking to Claire Towers.
This is Nick Jones, Selsey Internet Radio. Today I'm talking to Claire Towers, all about health and well-being. She is a consultant of this, and I'm going to ask her now what she does, how she does it, and how long she's been doing it.
Well, what I do, I've been doing actually today. I actually work with people in the community, whether it be youngsters, people that are teenagers, or maybe somebody that may be in their 20s, 30s, 40s, you name it, 50s or 60s, 70s and 80s. I help people to live their lives the best way possible. I think sometimes it's called the art of living, and having the opportunity to enjoy your life the best you can. So I'm a health and well-being consultant really, and what I do is I work with different people who have asked if I'd go and work with them, and I really the A to Z of most things that you can think about. So whether you're looking at trying to mobilise your body because you may be a bit stiff, or you may have fallen and had an accident, or indeed if you're looking to cook up some special recipe that helps you run your body as efficiently as possible, or indeed if it's actually just doing the odd jobs around the house where sometimes it can set up slight limitations for yourself, or whether you're going to appointments and you're needing to access places where sometimes you find it difficult to go to. I help you with all those types of things.
So it's all aspects of health and well-being, really.
It is, yes it is.
Mobility and everything.
Mobility and everything. 2 years ago, I know the Olympics are on at the moment, I actually had the opportunity to work.
We'll say this is the Winter Olympics. We're not talking
Olympics.
2 years ago.
No.
It's the Winter Olympics.
That's it.
Actually, they're just finished because it's the day after. Anyway, carry on, don't worry.
Yeah, so it's the Winter Olympics and the Paralympics. So I was living up in London for 3 months and actually working with some very famous people. Her name is actually Claire. I was helping her to... The Olympics is quite a pressurised event.
I can imagine.
And there's lots that go on that perhaps isn't visible to the naked eye. And these individuals are key to these events, and it's making sure that they can do their job and be happy and continue to do it each and every day. So
this is the government investment, isn't it, of something, £14 million, I think, has been invested, wasn't it, into
yes.
everything concerning it. And this is just one aspect of it.
Yes. So yes, that was absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed that opportunity.
I bet you did.
And it's knowing how to harness that type of energy and take it forward and use it in the local community. So you can work with famous people, but we need to know how we can use it when we're working with the lovely people that we're surrounded by.
And when did you start this?
So I started this when, I think, as we'd had a conversation earlier, when I was about 7, or when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I had a nanny called Margaret Flynn, and she suffered from rheumatoid arthritis, and sometimes she'd get a little bit stiff. And she used to invite me in on an evening time, and I used to massage and try and mobilise certain areas. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but she always used to say, "Oh, you're very good at this, you know, that's what you need to do when you're older." And so later on, and years later, I fell into working and looking at anatomy and physiology. Used many skills along the way, a lot of them being complementary to the body or holistic, so that you're working with the whole body, looking at, as I've mentioned before, just making sure that everything works, really. Yes, I used to have the opportunity to be with that lady for many special years. She's now passed away, but I still have very fond memories of her. So I continue with this practice. I'm currently working with 2 lovely people, and they're very special to me. And I work with them regularly on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And then I also have the opportunity to work within another profession as well. This is all part in health and well-being. So I'm an oral healthcare practitioner and work with a practice in Chichester in West Sussex. So it's anything that goes into the mouth, and then obviously making sure that the mouth is fit and healthy, and also your body and your bones and your tendons, ligaments, etc., and exercise and posture and the little...
And what sort of qualifications have you got for all this?
Right, okay, so I started and did a lot of complementary therapies and went to Chichester College. And gained many qualifications from there. So I started and did manicure and pedicure, and then did Swedish massage, and then I did head massage as well, which are all separate qualifications. Then I continued and I did a little bit of... There's certain things that prompt you to move in certain directions, as it tends to be the people that you work with. They ask me to do certain things, and of course you look it up and do the research, and then you go and take the qualifications. So Had the opportunity to do cosmetics, etc., and working with Richard Branson, so the Virgin V. Then continued and started to look at Swedish massage, which was a 2-year qualification. So the majority of these qualifications are 2 years. Brushed up more qualifications and went back and did 7 exams and an apprenticeship, and then working within dentistry, because I've worked in dentistry, so it's revisiting it. So yes, and then I did something called neuro-linguistic programming as well, so it's looking how we operate as individuals and how we see life on the outside, and how indeed we then actually sort of start to use language to affect ourselves. So we've done many things and worked with local businesses. I've worked for the county council as a trainer and a consultant, freelance. And I've worked within private business as well as a trainer. I also have a teaching qualification and an assessor's qualification too. So you put all those into a big mixing pot, and it helps us to live our lives each and every day by seeing things from a different light, really.
Now, when I started this interview, I didn't realise I was sitting with such a well-educated and knowledgeable person, who obviously is, and you can obviously help people a great deal. And so if people have got problems, physical, mental, yes, that's included, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. If they would like to have a chat with you, would you be quite willing to come have a chat with them?
I'd love to have
in
a
Selsey?
chat.
People in Selsey?
Love to have a chat with them.
And how would they contact you? Have you got a telephone number?
So probably the best thing to do, if they are interested and there is something that sort of springs to mind that they wanted to have a chat about, is it's probably easier to reach on a mobile telephone number. So the number that I can be contacted on is 07752 164 114. So I'll just repeat that number once again.
Please do.
07752 164 114.
That's excellent. Well, thank you very much indeed for talking to me. I hope you found it interesting yourself to talk to me.
I did.
And I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen who are listening to this podcast, I'm sitting next to a very attractive lady who is going to help in any way she can if you've got problems. So don't hesitate to phone that number, and I'm sure she'll come round and chat with you and maybe help you in some way or other. Thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
We finished this week with Thought for the Day with our very own James Wesson. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week. Bye now.
By the time you hear this, we will have journeyed through Lent, a time of self-examination, penitence and self-denial, and shared Jesus' suffering and his passion over Holy Week, and finally experienced the joy of Easter, when Jesus triumphs over death. And for that, especially the resurrection, we should be profoundly thankful to God, and we should be refreshed, regenerated, and uplifted. Now is a time when we should be seeking God with all our hearts and all our energy. But in this frenetic world, it's not always as simple as that. So a few thoughts from the great Cardinal Basil Hume might help. He said, "I want someone to know me completely, to understand me entirely, and to want me unconditionally. I want to be somebody's first choice, and I think the only one who knows me completely, understands me entirely, and wants me unconditionally is God. And I am his first choice, and you are his first choice. The marvellous thing about God is that he cannot have second choices. He is limited in that way. We are all first choices. God never sees crowds. He just sees individuals." A comforting thought, and these are words worth revisiting if prayer and contemplation become difficult. And when we have self-doubts or low self-esteem and struggle to see our own individual roles as Christians, perhaps these words will help as well. Cardinal Cardian, that great apostle of the workers, used to say, "No work, no mass." It was his way of getting working people to see that their efforts made life possible and help to shape the offering we make at each Mass. Builders construct the church. Quarrymen bring the stone for the altar. Miners dig the coal, which fuels power stations for heat and light. Weavers make the linen for the vestments and the altar cloths. Farmers produce the wheat for the bread and the grapes for the wine. Public transport workers and the car plant men make it possible for the congregation to gather, all in their own way, through their own work, make the Mass possible. And therefore, we should always remember that together we make up the body of Christ. Each one of us is as important as anyone else in God's eyes. Hold that thought, and prayer and reflection might become easier, and we will be drawn closer to God. And it's worth pondering this as well. More words from Basil Hume. The only failure in prayer is when we neglect it. The only success in prayer is the sense of God's presence, or a deep peace and sense of well-being, a marvellous moment of inner freedom. When that comes, it is a special gift from God. We have no claim on it, we cannot demand it. Our part is to turn to him as best we can, trying to raise our minds and hearts to him. And when all else fails, remember this: do not despair, nor give up hope. However far you may have wandered, whatever wrong you may have done, despair must never be a word for you. He wants us more than we have ever wanted him, or ever could. So those are a few things to meditate on now that Easter is over. Simple truths from one of the great Christian leaders of the 20th century. May you find strength and truth in them, and may they help you on your journey of faith.